Welcome to a journey into the psychology of procrastination. Together, we'll explore the reasons behind this common behavior and discover strategies to overcome it. Let's dive in and understand the power of procrastination. We've all been there. A deadline is looming, yet we find ourselves saying, "I'll do it tomorrow or maybe later." Surrounded by a flurry of excuses like next week, one day, or not yet, the urgent task at hand, the now, gets pushed aside. Procrastination is incredibly common in modern life. Studies show that roughly 1 in 5 adults are chronic procrastinators, and up to 95% of college students admit to procrastinating to some degree. In a world of constant distractions, from buzzing smartphones to endless streaming content, it's easier than ever to put off difficult tasks. Each of us can likely recall a night spent binge-watching videos or scrolling social media when we knew we should have been working on something more important. These relatable moments highlight how powerful the pull of procrastination can be. One reason procrastination is so prevalent is the societal pressure to succeed and the paralyzing fear of failure that comes with it. We live in a culture that often equates our worth with our achievements. This can make the stakes of every task feel sky high. Rather than risk falling short of perfection or facing judgment, many of us freeze up. In fact, psychologists note that procrastination is sometimes a form of self-protection. It's easier to fail due to not having enough time than to give something our all and still fail. Delaying work becomes a self-handicapping strategy. We'd rather attribute a poor outcome to procrastinating, an external excuse, than to a lack of ability. Put simply, avoiding the task lets us avoid the possibility of failure or criticism, at least for a little while. Another driving force is the temptation of immediate gratification. Tackling a complex, uncomfortable project often provides no quick payoff, whereas distractions offer instant pleasure. It's far more fun to play a video game or chat with friends than to grind through a tedious report. Our brains are actually wired to value immediate rewards over future benefits, a tendency psychologists call present bias. This means that when given a choice, we tend to pick what feels good now, watching one more episode, taking a nap, and push the challenging work to later. As one mental health expert put it, choosing short-term rewards over long-term benefits is essentially a struggle with self-regulation. Modern technology amplifies this temptation. One study found people spend almost half their time online procrastinating, averaging about 1.6 hours a day on unproductive internet use. With entertainment and social media at our fingertips 24/7, instant gratification is always just a click away, making procrastination a constant battle. Yet, while procrastination offers temporary comfort, we all know it can lead to stress and scramble later on. The power procrastination holds over us sets the stage, but why do we keep giving into it? To answer that, we need to look deeper into the psychology behind this habit. What's really happening in our minds when we procrastinate? Often, it's not as simple as laziness or poor time management. Deeper psychological roots underlie the habit. One key factor is fear. We've touched on fear of failure, but there's also a paradoxical fear of success. Succeeding at a big goal can be intimidating. It might bring higher expectations, new responsibilities, or even unwanted attention. Some people subconsciously worry that if they do well, they'll have to keep doing well, a pressure they're not sure they can handle. As motivational author Dennis Waitley famously said, "Procrastination is the fear of success." It sounds contradictory. Who wouldn't want success? But this fear can quietly whisper, what if I actually pull this off? Things will never be the same. To avoid that unknown, a person delays action, staying in their comfort zone. Hand in hand with fear is perfectionism. It's been said that perfectionism is procrastination in disguise, and there's truth in that. When we set unrealistically high standards for ourselves, starting a task becomes daunting. A perfectionist might think, if I can't do this perfectly, why do it at all right now? They may endlessly plan or wait for the perfect moment to begin, which never comes. This quest for perfection often masks a deep fear of making mistakes or being judged. According to mental health experts, people who struggle with perfectionism often procrastinate because they dread mistakes or imperfect outcomes. Lack of motivation is another root cause. Not all tasks are created equal. Some genuinely bore or frustrate us. If a task feels meaningless or overly difficult, it's hard to find the drive to begin. Research on students, for example, found that if a task is seen as uninteresting and boring, it quickly leads to low motivation and procrastination. We tend to avoid what we dread. Sometimes that lack of motivation is tied to not seeing value in the task or not having a clear personal goal. Without a sense of purpose, procrastination fills the void. After all, why start a task that your heart isn't in? Then there's the role of anxiety and feeling overwhelmed. Have you ever looked at a long to-do list or a huge project and just shut down? Anxiety can be paralyzing. The task looms so large in our mind that we don't know where to start. Procrastination provides a quick relief. By putting the task off, we momentarily reduce our anxiety about it. However, that relief is short-lived. The more we delay, the more the anxiety builds as the deadline nears. Psychology experts describe procrastination as a form of mood management. We delay the task to avoid the stress or fear it evokes, essentially escaping those negative feelings in the moment. All these factors, fear, perfectionism, low motivation, anxiety, show that procrastination often acts as self-sabotage. On the surface, it might just seem like poor discipline, but underneath, it's frequently a way we undermine our own goals to protect ourselves from something, be it failure, discomfort, or change. By procrastinating, we're essentially standing in our own way. We delay not because we're bad or incapable, but because some part of us is trying to avoid pain. Whether it's the pain of potential failure, the strain of effort, or facing our own self-doubts. It's a bittersweet habit. In trying to shield ourselves, we also cheat ourselves out of progress. Recognizing procrastination as self-sabotage can be eye-opening. It shifts the question from why am I so lazy to what am I afraid of or overwhelmed by, and that is a powerful first step towards change. Understanding these psychological roots is crucial because it reminds us that we're not alone or irredeemable if we procrastinate. There are human reasons behind it. But while understanding is important, we also need to face the reality of what procrastination does to our lives. What price do we pay for constantly putting things off? Procrastination often begins as a harmless delay, I'll get to it later, but over time, habitual procrastination can carry a heavy cost. Perhaps the most obvious consequence is the stress. The calm we feel while procrastinating, phew, I don't have to do that today, eventually flips into panic. Oh no, it's due tomorrow. Cramming work last minute or racing against a deadline floods us with anxiety. Research has shown that procrastinators actually experience more stress and negative health outcomes in the long run. In an illuminating study, college students who procrastinated did report slightly less stress early in the term, but by the end of the term, they were far more stressed and even got sick more often than their non-procrastinating peers. The short-term gain of relaxation led to a long-term overload of stress hormones. Chronic procrastination has also been linked to issues like poor sleep, as many put off tasks into the late hours, and even higher rates of anxiety and depression over time. The emotional toll is real. Over 80% of people report feeling negative emotions, guilt, regret, or frustration after procrastinating. We berate ourselves for messing up again, which chips away at our self-esteem. Aside from stress, think of the missed opportunities. Procrastination can quietly sabotage our dreams and goals. That business idea you never pursued, the job application you submitted too late, the apology to a friend you kept postponing until the friendship faded. These are the unseen losses procrastination leaves in its wake. When we delay important actions, we sometimes miss the window. As the saying goes, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Procrastinators often find themselves saying, if only I had started sooner. The cost can be career stagnation. Maybe you continually put off learning new skills or finishing a degree and years pass you by. It can also be damaged relationships. Continually postponing plans or important conversations can hurt the trust and respect between people. In fact, studies suggest that frequent procrastination is associated with poorer relationships and lower social satisfaction. Loved ones may feel devalued or frustrated when we constantly cancel or delay things that matter to them. The impact on productivity and achievement is also significant. Simply put, procrastination kills productivity. Tasks done at the last minute are rarely our best work. Rushed, sloppy outcomes can lead to missed promotions, lower grades, or lost income. Consider the workplace. If an employee is routinely procrastinating, they may scramble to meet targets or require extensions, which reflects poorly on their reliability. On a larger scale, procrastination can even hit our wallets. One large-scale study found that people who procrastinate more tend to earn significantly lower salaries. An increase of 1 point on a procrastination scale was associated with a $15,000 drop in annual income. Another analysis estimated that employees spend over a quarter of their workday procrastinating, costing businesses thousands of dollars per employee each year in lost productivity. Individually, that lost productivity can mean the difference between excelling in your projects versus just scraping by. Over time, career growth is hindered. Promotions go to those who deliver, not those who delay. Beyond the tangible impacts on work and opportunities, there's the emotional and mental toll of living in the shadow of procrastination. Constantly putting things off can lead to a nagging sense of underachievement, a feeling that you're always running behind in life. You might always feel busy, but also feel like you're not truly accomplishing what you want. This can sap the joy out of successes because you're just relieved you survived last minute and increase feelings of helplessness. Over time, a habit of procrastination can even erode your confidence. If you begin to identify as the procrastinator, you might start believing you aren't capable of change, which is never true. Financially, procrastination can cost money in late fees, rushed shipping charges, or opportunities lost because you didn't seize them in time. For example, filing taxes late can incur penalties, or delaying car maintenance can lead to costlier repairs. These are the hidden financial costs of "I'll do it later." It's sobering to realize how much procrastination can hold us back. Missed deadlines, frenzied all-nighters, stress-induced headaches, strained friendships. The costs touch every corner of life, but here's the empowering part. It doesn't have to stay this way. Procrastination may be a formidable foe, but it's one we can overcome. The first step is acknowledging the price we pay for our delays, which we've just done. The next step is breaking free from the procrastination cycle and reclaiming our time and potential. How do we do that? Let's explore some practical strategies to turn things around. The cycle of procrastination, delay, rush, repeat can feel never-ending, but you have the power to break it. Overcoming procrastination is less about a total personality overhaul and more about using smart strategies and mindset shifts to outwit your inner procrastinator. Let's go over a toolkit of tactics that can help, starting with how we approach tasks. Break tasks into smaller steps. One of the main reasons we procrastinate is that big tasks feel overwhelming. Staring at a huge project like write a 20-page report or clean the entire house can trigger that fight or flight feeling. And many of us take flight into procrastination. The antidote is to break the task down into bite-sized, manageable pieces. Instead of having a single monstrous item on your to-do list, divide it for the report. Maybe step 1 is draft the introduction. Step 2, outline main points. Step 3, write section 1, and so on. If cleaning the house feels like too much, start with tidy the living room. Psychologists advise that this approach makes the task feel achievable. Your brain sees a series of small wins instead of one impossible marathon. By focusing on the next tiny step, you reduce the mental barrier to starting. Each small completion gives a dose of satisfaction and momentum to move to the next step. As one expert quipped, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." So if you're frozen by a daunting task, slice it into chunks. Commit to working on just the first chunk for now. Often starting is the hardest part. Once you get going, the next steps flow more easily. Set clear, achievable goals and deadlines. Vague intentions like "I should work on my assignment soon" often fall prey to procrastination. To combat this, turn your intentions into specific goals with target dates. For example, decide "I will draft 500 words of the essay by 3 p.m. today." Make sure your goals are realistic. Setting unattainable goals, like write entire thesis in one day, will only discourage you and prompt more procrastination. Research suggests that setting realistic expectations and goals is key to beating procrastination. Write down your plan or tell someone about it, which makes it feel more concrete. Using time management techniques can also help. Try scheduling your tasks on a calendar or using a to-do app to prioritize what needs to be done first. A popular method is the Pomodoro technique, where you work in focused bursts, say 25 minutes, and then take a 5-minute break, repeating this cycle. This can make work feel like a game against the clock and prevents burnout by giving regular breathers. Whether you use Pomodoro or another system, planning your time helps prevent that "I'll do it later" drift. Treat your self-assigned deadlines as seriously as you would an official deadline. After all, you set them for a reason. Create a focused, distraction-free environment. Our surroundings play a big role in our ability to get things done. If your phone is buzzing, your email is pinging, and the TV is on in the background, even the most motivated person would struggle not to procrastinate. To break the cycle, set yourself up for success by minimizing temptations. This might mean putting your phone on silent and out of reach for an hour, or installing website blockers to keep you off social media during work periods. It could involve decluttering your workspace so it's comfortable and conducive to focus. Maybe you work best in a quiet library, or perhaps with noise-cancelling headphones and instrumental music. As the experts at McLean Hospital suggest, it helps to designate a workspace that signals to your brain time to work and to limit distractions. Close those unrelated tabs, turn off unnecessary notifications, even place your phone in another room if you have to. By consciously shaping your environment, you remove the easy escape routes that procrastination loves to take. If you find yourself at home struggling to start, consider going to a place meant for work or study, so your context shifts. A focused environment is like the launch pad that gets your rocket off the ground. Just start, even if it's for a few minutes. Procrastination hates action. The simplest, though not always easiest, trick is to force a start, any start. Tell yourself you'll work on the task for just 5 minutes. 5 minutes is easy. You can promise yourself you'll stop after that if you want. And often, one of two things will happen. Either you'll build a bit of momentum and keep going beyond the 5 minutes, or at least you'll have chipped away at the task slightly, which makes it easier to resume next time. Initiating the first action is a critical catalyst. As soon as you start, the rest tends to unfold more naturally. According to one therapist, the best approach is to stop overthinking and simply dive into the work. Action precedes motivation more often than we think. Don't wait for motivation to show up first. Start anyway and allow inspiration to find you in the process. Sometimes, as you do a bit of the work, you realize it's not as bad as you feared, and that reduces the mental resistance. So break that initial inertia by committing to a very small window of productivity. You might even set a timer for 10 minutes and race it. By the end, you'll likely feel a spark of accomplishment that can fuel further work. Challenge negative self-talk with self-compassion. This might be the most important strategy of all. Many procrastinators fall into a cruel cycle. You procrastinate, feel bad about it, call yourself lazy or weak, and then feel so demoralized that it's hard to find the motivation to do better, leading to more procrastination. To break this cycle, you must replace self-criticism with self-compassion. Remember that procrastination is not a character flaw or a sign of laziness. As we saw, it usually stems from stress, fear, or other internal struggles. Beating yourself up only adds to that stress. Instead, practice forgiving yourself for past procrastination and speak to yourself like a supportive friend. Research actually shows that people who are kind to themselves, who say, okay, I procrastinated, but I'm learning and I can try again, are more likely to overcome procrastination next time. Self-compassion provides an emotional safety net, so you're less afraid to start because you know it's okay to be imperfect. If you catch yourself thinking, I'm just a procrastinator, I always fail, reframe that thought. I procrastinated this time, but I'm working on improving, one step at a time. Everyone procrastinates occasionally. It's a very human thing to do. By reframing your inner dialogue from critical to encouraging, you set a positive tone that makes it easier to engage with tasks. Remember, your worth is not defined by your productivity on any given day. Give yourself credit for trying new strategies and celebrate small wins. Each day is a new chance to do a little better. In addition to these strategies, consider tools like accountability. Telling a friend or coach about your goals so they check in on you, and rewards. Promising yourself a treat or break after a period of focused work. Some people find it motivating to visualize the outcome. Imagine how great it will feel to have the task done, or the consequences you'll avoid by doing it now. Use whatever positive incentives you can, and importantly, develop routines. Procrastination often slips in when we're not sure what to do next. A regular routine, like every morning from 9 to 10 I write, then I check email, can remove the decision paralysis that invites delay. Breaking the procrastination habit won't happen overnight. You might slip up, and that's okay. What matters is that you notice when you're slipping and practice these strategies again. Each time you do, you'll strengthen your anti-procrastination muscle. Over time, you'll find it easier to start tasks, and you'll trust yourself more to get things done. Imagine the relief of finishing work ahead of deadlines, or the pride in steadily working toward a dream without last-minute chaos. It's possible. By applying these techniques, chunking tasks, setting goals, controlling your environment, just starting and staying kind to yourself, you can rewrite the story you tell yourself. No longer the procrastinator, you can become someone who faces tasks with confidence and calm. Now, before we conclude, there's one more twist to consider. We've focused on overcoming procrastination, but is it possible that procrastination isn't entirely a villain? Could there be a silver lining to this behavior we've come to dread? In our final section, let's explore how, in moderation, procrastination might actually be used for good. It may sound surprising, but procrastination isn't 100% bad. In fact, when managed carefully, it can have some hidden benefits. After all, our minds have a way of working on problems in the background, even while we delay. Ever notice how a brilliant idea strikes you when you're not actively working on a task, say while taking a shower or daydreaming? That's the magic of incubation, and procrastination can sometimes encourage it. There is research to back this up. A study by 2 business professors. One of them, Adam Grant, is a well-known organizational psychologist, found that moderate procrastination can foster creativity. In their experiments, people who waited for a bit before diving into a project ended up coming up with more original ideas than those who started immediately or those who waited until the last second. By procrastinating just enough, they gave their brains time to wander and think in unconventional ways. Essentially, delaying the task allowed creative ideas to percolate. So if you're someone who's ever said, I work better under pressure, there may be a kernel of truth there, up to a point. The key is moderation. Too much delay and panic stifles creativity. Too little and you might go with the obvious idea, but a bit of strategic procrastination can lead to more thoughtful, well-developed outcomes. Procrastination can also serve as a signal. Sometimes, if you find yourself consistently putting something off, it might be your intuition telling you something important. Maybe the goal you're pursuing isn't aligned with what you truly want, and that's why you're avoiding it. In this sense, procrastination can prompt reflective thinking. It gives you a chance to question, why am I avoiding this? Is there a better approach or a different path that suits me more? In creative work, stepping back, which procrastination forces you to do, can offer a fresh perspective. Writers, artists, and problem solvers of all kinds sometimes deliberately take a break or delay final decisions, allowing new insights to emerge. What looks like goofing off might actually be the brain, mulling things over in its subconscious. So, taking a purposeful pause isn't always laziness. It can be a wise move to gather your thoughts. Another unexpected upside of procrastination ties into the concept of rest and recovery. Humans aren't machines. We can't be in go mode all the time. Procrastination often involves doing more relaxing or enjoyable activities in place of the work we're avoiding, like watching TV, taking a walk, or chatting with friends. While doing these things excessively to avoid work is problematic, doing them in moderation is actually essential for our mental health. Studies show that taking breaks, even short ones, boosts productivity, creativity, and well-being. Regular breaks can prevent burnout and keep you sharp. So in a roundabout way, procrastination ensures that we're not constantly working. It injects some downtime into our schedule. The key is to embrace breaks and leisure intentionally rather than guiltily. If you've been working hard and feel your focus waning, a bit of procrastination in the form of a refreshing break can recharge you, so that when you return to the task you work more efficiently. In this spirit, some experts suggest scheduling procrastination time moments when you allow yourself to do something fun or idle, as a reward and reset. By doing so, you turn procrastination from a sneaky saboteur into a controlled ally. Embracing procrastination also means learning to find balance. Life is not meant to be all discipline and grind. If you're constantly doing, you might miss out on the being. A little procrastination can remind us to enjoy the present. That spontaneous outing with friends or playful hour with your kids, taken when you should have been working on a Saturday, might actually nourish you in a way that makes you more effective on Sunday. Purposeful procrastination, let's call it productive procrastination, can involve switching to lighter yet still useful tasks when you just can't tackle the big one. For instance, maybe you're not in the right headspace to write that report this afternoon, but cleaning your desk or answering some emails, technically procrastinating on the report, still checks off useful tasks and clears the way for a focused effort tomorrow. You're procrastinating productively, leveraging the urge to delay one thing to get other things done. In the end, the message is that self-awareness is key. By understanding why we procrastinate and how it affects us, we can make conscious choices. Sometimes the choice will be to push through and work. Other times it might be to give yourself a break or a change of activity without guilt, because you know that will ultimately serve you best. Procrastination itself can be a teacher. It can teach you about your fears, your needs for rest, and the conditions under which you do your best work. When you catch yourself procrastinating, instead of immediately judging yourself, you can pause and think, what is this telling me? Do I need to break this task down? Do I need to address some fear or belief, or do I simply need a 15-minute breather? Finding balance is the ultimate goal. Imagine using procrastination deliberately, taking a step back when needed to spark creativity or to care for your well-being, but also having the discipline to step forward and take action when it's time. It's like knowing when to press the gas and when to ease off in the journey of accomplishing your goals. Too much procrastination and you stall out. Too little pause and you burn out. With practice, you can learn that sweet spot. As we wrap up, remember that overcoming procrastination doesn't mean you'll never procrastinate again. It means procrastination no longer controls you. You become the one in control, deciding when to work and when to rest, rather than letting panic or impulse dictate your schedule. You become the driver of your life, not the passenger steered by procrastination. You have the ability to change your story. Procrastination may have cost you in the past, but every moment is an opportunity to turn things around. By understanding the psychology behind it, you've already taken a powerful step. You know procrastination's tricks, and you've got strategies to counter them. Believe that you are capable of improvement, because you are. Start small, be kind to yourself, and celebrate progress. Even procrastination itself can be turned to your advantage when you use it wisely. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I'll do it later," take a breath. Remember this journey we've talked about. You are not alone. Everyone struggles with procrastination, but everyone can also overcome it. Turn later into now, one task at a time, and give yourself permission to enjoy breaks without guilt when you need them. With self-awareness and balance, procrastination can go from being your worst enemy to, oddly enough, a source of insight and even creativity. Go ahead, take charge of your time and your life. Kick procrastination out of the driver's seat. You've got what it takes to break free from the delays that have held you back. Your future self is waiting, grateful that you chose to act today. As you finish this video, maybe you'll decide to tackle that task you've been avoiding. Just remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step and the road will rise up to meet you. You've got this. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this helpful, consider liking this video, sharing and subscribing to the channel. Feel free to drop any questions or your own experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, take a moment, take a breath, and take care.